Want to get bigger, stronger muscles but keep failing to actually make continuous gains in the gym? Then stay tuned, because today we're covering everything you need to know about progressive overload, the one thing that will help you break through plateaus, build muscle strength, and get the body you want. We'll cover what it means, smart ways to progressively overload your workouts, and advanced tactics to really fine-tune your results. So let's get after it. The growth engine. What is progressive overload? Put simply, progressive overload is the gradual increase of stress placed upon your muscles over time. Muscles are like any other tissue in your body. If you want them to adapt and become stronger, they have to be consistently challenged to do so. By continually upping the intensity and difficulty of your workouts, your body will respond by growing stronger and bigger to handle the increasing demands you place upon it. Simply put, to continue making continuous progress, your muscles must be consistently exposed to new challenges that force them to adapt. That doesn't mean you have to be lifting heavier weights every single workout, but you do have to find ways to progressively increase the overall stress you place upon your muscles over time. And there's several different ways you can do this. Let's start with the big ones. Increase weight, add more repetitions, or do more sets. Increase weight. Now this is the classic and most straightforward way to progressively overload your workouts. Simply put, if you want to challenge your muscles more, lift heavier weights. By continually trying to add more weight to the exercises you perform, you'll be placing more strain on your muscles and forcing them to adapt. Now, of course, adding weight isn't always as easy as it sounds. You need to make sure you're doing so safely and with good form. But if you're able to do so, it's a great way to challenge your muscles and force them to grow. More repetitions. Instead of focusing on lifting heavier weights each workout, you can also try to perform more repetitions with the same weight. For example, if you normally do 3 sets of 10 repetitions with a certain weight, try to do 3 sets of 11 repetitions the next time you work out. By focusing on increasing the number of repetitions you can perform, you'll be challenging your muscles in a different way and forcing them to adapt. This can be especially helpful if you're at a point where you can no longer increase the weight you're lifting, but you still want to challenge your muscles and force them to grow. More sets. Another way to progressively overload your workouts is by increasing the number of sets you perform for each exercise. For example, if you normally do 3 sets of 10 repetitions for a certain exercise, you could try doing 4 or 5 sets of 10 repetitions the next time you work out. By increasing the number of sets you perform, you'll be boosting training volume and placing more stress on your muscles, which can lead to greater muscle stimulation and growth. This can be a great way to challenge your muscles in a different way and force them to adapt, especially if you've already reached a point where you can no longer increase the weight you're lifting or the number of repetitions you can perform. Now let's dive into some more advanced overload tactics that can really help you fine-tune your challenge. Decrease rest times between sets. Another way to progressively overload your workouts is by decreasing the amount of time you spend resting between sets. By reducing your rest times, you'll be increasing the density of your workout and making it more metabolically challenging. This can lead to more fatigue and a greater stimulus for muscle growth. To decrease your rest times, try cutting down from 2 minutes between sets to 90 seconds to 60 seconds. As you become more accustomed to shorter rest times, you can decrease them even further to 30 seconds or less. Improve exercise technique and tempo. While it's important to focus on lifting heavier weights and performing more repetitions and sets, it's also important to focus on improving your technique and tempo of movement. By focusing on better form and more controlled movements, you'll be able to target the intended muscles more effectively and increase the time under tension for those muscles. This can lead to greater muscle stimulation and growth. To improve your technique and tempo, focus on maintaining proper form throughout the entire range of motion of an exercise. Control the movement by counting reps in a regular cadence. Focus on the eccentric portion of the rep, which is when the muscle is being lengthened under load. By focusing on these factors, you'll be able to target the intended muscles more effectively and increase the time under tension for those muscles. This can lead to greater muscle stimulation and growth. Increase training frequency. Another way to progressively overload your workouts is by increasing the frequency with which you train each muscle group. This means that instead of working out a muscle group once or twice per week, you'll aim to train it 3 or more times per week. This can be especially effective for people who are unable to train as intensely or as frequently as they would like due to time constraints. By training each muscle group more often, you'll be able to train each muscle group at a lighter intensity, which may allow you to train more frequently. However, it's important to listen to your body and make sure you're getting enough rest and recovery between sessions. Most importantly, while you should always push yourself to become stronger and bigger, you have to make sure you do so in a smart and gradual way. Don't try to force yourself to lift heavier weights or perform more repetitions than you're capable of. Doing so will only increase your risk of injury and burnout. Instead, focus on making small, gradual improvements over time. These small improvements will add up over time and lead to big results. Listen to your body. One of the most important things to remember when attempting to progressively overload your workouts is to listen to your body. Your body will tell you when it's had enough and needs a break. Don't ignore these signs. Taking a break or deloading can actually be beneficial for your training and can help you come back stronger and more focused. Here are a few signs that you may need to take a break or deload. First, you may be feeling sore and fatigued all the time. If you're constantly feeling sore and fatigued, it's a sign that you may be overtraining. Overtraining can lead to a loss of muscle mass, decreased performance, and an increased risk of injury. Taking a break or deloading can help your body recover and come back stronger. You may have lost your motivation. If you've lost your motivation to train, it's time to take a break. Training should be enjoyable. If you don't enjoy training, you're less likely to stick to it. Take a break and come back when you're feeling motivated again. You're constantly getting injured. If you're constantly getting injured, it's a sign that you may be pushing yourself too hard. Injuries can set you back weeks or even months in your training. Take a break and focus on recovering from your injuries before returning to training. Track to attack. It's also important to track your workouts so you can see how much you've progressed and identify areas for improvement. By tracking your workouts, you'll be able to see how much weight you lifted, how many repetitions you performed, and how many sets you completed. This information can help you determine whether or not you're making progress and if you need to adjust your workout routine. Additionally, tracking your workouts can help you stay accountable and focused on your goals. When you know that you'll be tracking your workouts, you're more likely to stick to your routine and push yourself to achieve your goals. There are several ways to track your workouts. You can use a notebook to write down your workouts, or you can use a fitness app. Putting it into action. Now that you know all about progressive overload, it's time to put it into action. Let's look at a quick example of how someone might apply progressive overload to their workouts. For example, let's say someone wants to build their leg strength and muscle mass by doing barbell squats. They could follow this simple progression over the course of 3 weeks. Week 1, they could start by doing 3 sets of 8 repetitions with 80 kg. This will serve as their baseline, allowing them to gauge their starting strength and endurance. Week 2, they could aim to perform 3 sets of 9 to 10 repetitions with the same weight, 80 kilos. This will require them to increase the tempo of their squats and maintain a higher level of muscle activation throughout the exercise. If they're able to complete all 10 reps, they can try increasing the weight slightly to 82.5 kg and repeat the same 3 sets of 10 reps. Week 3, they could aim to increase the weight to 82.5 kg for 3 sets of 8 repetitions. This will challenge them to lift a heavier weight while still maintaining a high level of muscle activation and control throughout the exercise. By following this simple progressive overload example, this person would be progressively increasing the demand on their leg muscles, which should lead to greater muscle stimulation and growth over time. Remember, consistency is key. Make sure you're consistently challenging your muscles and increasing the demand on them over time. And make sure you're tracking your workouts so you can see how much you're progressing and make any necessary adjustments. Progressive overload doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort, you'll eventually reach your goals. Thank you so much for watching and see you all next time.